Either we heal as a team, or we're going to crumble. Inch by inch, play by play, till we're finished. We're in hell right now, gentlemen, believe me. And we can stay here, get the shit kicked out of us, or we can fight our way back into the light. We can climb out of hell. 1 inch at a time. You know, when you get old in life, things get taken from you. I mean, that's part of life. But you only learn that when you start losing stuff. You find out life's this game of inches. So is football. Because in either game, life or football, the margin for error is so small. I mean, 1/2 a step too late or too early, and you don't quite make it. 1/2 second too slow, too fast, you don't quite catch it. The inches we need are everywhere around us. They're in every break of the game, every minute, every second. On this team, we fight for that inch. On this team, we tear ourselves and everyone else around us to pieces for that inch. We claw our fingernails for that inch. Because we know when we add up all those inches, that's going to make the fucking difference between winning and losing. Between living and dying. I'll tell you this, in any fight, it's the guy who's willing to die who's going to win that inch. And I know if I'm going to have any life anymore, it's because I'm still willing to fight and die for that inch. Because that's what living is. There's 6 inches in front of your face. Now I can't make you do it. You got to look at the guy next to you. Look into his eyes. Now I think you're going to see a guy who will go that inch with you. You're going to see a guy who will sacrifice himself for this team because he knows when it comes down to it, you're going to do the same for him. That's a team, gentlemen. And either we heal now as a team, or we will die as individuals.
Ideas are bulletproof.
Yes, ideas are bulletproof. And that's why the ideas of things like freedom and fairness and justice, they're more than words. To quote V, they're more than words. They're a perspective. They're not just something you throw out there when it's convenient. That's how you should live your life. You should have some sort of core values, something to stick to. So when times are tough, you can at least go back and you can look at those core values, and that'll give you the inner strength to continue on with the fight. Welcome to the show. This is Down the Rabbit Hole. I'm your host, Popeye. This is June 5th, 2011, the Sunday edition. And first, I just want to say the site is back up. It's been back up since yesterday. Thank you to James, my IT guy and one of the founders of Federal Jack. If he hadn't worked for 5 days straight to repair what was done to us by the IDF, the Israeli Defense Force, just in case nobody knows what IDF stands for, Federal Jack wouldn't be what it is today. It wouldn't be back. So big thank you to James for spending a few nights getting about 45 minutes worth of sleep to fix the site. So big thank you. Spread the word, guys. The site is back up and running. It's fully functional again, just as it was before we had our little hiccup last week. So feel free to go back on it, sign up. If anybody has any problems with their user accounts, email me and email me the username and the password that it's supposed to be, and I'll fix it for you. So today, I don't have any special guests or on any special topics. But I've got one of my very good friends, fellow radio show host. He's had his multiple shows. He did a show with Bob Tuskin. He's also had his own show. He's a researcher. He founded one of the founders of the Intel Hub, and an all-around nice guy, and one of my really close friends, Mr. Shepard Ambellas. Shepard, say hello.
How's it going, Popeye?
Pretty good. I wanted to bring you on today just to kind of like have a roundtable with you, and because we have you and I always have interesting banter when we talk. So I wanted to be able to throw our ideas around on the air and get it out to listeners, and then later on I'll open up the phone lines. Probably about 45 minutes to an hour. Probably the second hour, I'll open up the phone lines. We can get some calls from listeners and see what the listeners have to say.
Sure, absolutely. Sounds fun.
So, did you see this this video? I sent it out. I found it last night about the Bank of America getting padlocked down here in Florida because a pissed off homeowner who they tried to foreclose on the house when they didn't even have a loan on their house. Apparently, the homeowner bought the home and paid cash for it, and Bank of America had it. Apparently, it was probably a repo, something that they had foreclosed on and taken it back. So they had the house, and these people had bought it from Bank of America. They paid cash. They didn't owe them anything. There was no mortgage payment, nothing. And Bank of America just decides they're going to foreclose on the house, even though they can't legally foreclose on the house because the people didn't owe them anything for it.
Sure.
So they got their lawyer. They went to court, and the judge found that Bank of America not only illegally tried to take this house, but they knowingly did this. This wasn't a mistake, and Bank of America swore it was a simple mistake. But they kept pushing and trying to take the house and intimidate the homeowner when they knew they had no proof to back up the fact that they had the house was them and that the people had a mortgage. So the judge ruled in their favor. Well, they wanted their attorney's fees paid for by Bank of America, which is legal. You can do that. Well, flash forward 5 months, the attorney still hadn't gotten paid, so he did what the bank would have done. He got sheriff's deputies, and they went and they padlocked the Bank of America, and they brought movers, and they were going to seize Bank of America's property. And he had instructed the deputies. The attorney said, "I want give me desks and chairs and stuff like that," and they went in and they told the bank manager, "Look, this is legal, and this is the deal. You got to lock your bank up." And I mean, they locked the bank up for a few hours, and then the bank president was able to get a check, and they cut them a check, and that was it. Once you give them the check, all right, cool, take the padlocks off, have a nice day, thank you. But I mean, usually the bank comes and forecloses on a house, and they bring the sheriff's deputies to evict people and everything else. In this case, it was the opposite.
Yeah, very cool. People are standing up, and more often than not, now their voices are being heard, Popeye. So yeah, a real good outcome on that. I was happy to see that.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I couldn't have been. That was probably one of the coolest videos I've seen on YouTube in a long time. Because every time I rip a video, you see the videos, it's always, TSA molesting a woman and making her cry at the airport, like just recently, or, patting down a baby, or some other police state news, or Obama, shredding more of the Constitution, or, whatever. And yet this time you see the sheriff's department and everything actually doing what they're supposed to do. And notice they didn't waver. They weren't afraid to go inside the bank and say, "Hey, this is the law. We're abiding by what we're told." So that excuse can be used against the New World Order. I think that video and that whole story should be inspirational to everybody. Because look, David stood up against Goliath and knocked Goliath on his ass.
Yeah.
Bank of America is a big, big organization, and they got knocked on their ass by the law. So it's time that we stood up and took back our country by what is the law.
Sure. Well, and we're pushing them back and making them essentially, they're getting riled up. Every time someone does something like that, these globalists, these bankers, some of these criminals, these type people, it stirs them up. And it's actually pushing them back here and there and foiling some of their plans. So it's actually really effective, and it's not going to come overnight, but it's going to take more people doing this type stuff Popeye, and really get on the bandwagon. And I think the globalists are going to have a problem.
People need to get angry. They need to get pissed off, and they need to say enough is enough. Just like in the end of Network, I'm mad as hell, and I'm not going to take it anymore. I'm tired of this crap. I'm tired of seeing old ladies molested by some scumbag TSA agent that's getting off on it.
Sure.
That kind of stuff really boils my blood. All right, Shep, we're going to break. Listeners, stay tuned. This is Down the Rabbit Hole. Today's Sunday, June 5th. Going to pay some bills. We'll be back in a few minutes. Don't leave. Welcome back. It is Sunday, June 5th, 2011. This is Down the Rabbit Hole, and I'm your host, Popeye, from federaljack.com. Go check my website out. We're back up and running, 110%. We refuse to give up, not until our dying breath. I'm joined today by two of my good friends. Not just one, not just Shepard now, but during the break I was also able to get in touch with another good friend of mine who wanted to come on and join us for the roundtable discussion today. Everybody knows who he is. Bob, say hello. It's Bob Tuskin.
Everyone knows who I am, huh?
All my listeners, they all listen to to your network as well. So,
well, it's good to be amongst friends.
I'm sure certain people calling in within the hour.
Yes, I can only imagine. Yeah, I saw that story, Popeye, about the bank being seized, all their assets being seized, and it was great. I mean, to watch the moving vans and the sheriff deputies and all the people there and the lawyer take action, it was one of those moments where we realize that the Federal Reserve notes aren't in control in a sense. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you could see that it didn't matter that the bank was full of money and that these were bankers. I mean, the bank president, if people watch the clip, you'll hear the attorney say he looked like he was crapping himself because you have two sheriff's deputies and an attorney with the law backing them up saying, hey, we're gonna have to confiscate your crap because you owe us money and you're just not doing the right thing.
Pretty cool. Maybe later on in the show we can play the clip for the listeners so they can actually hear it themselves.
Yeah, we'll have to edit it down for length because it's about almost 5 minutes. But we could cut out all the crap and get the good stuff in there. At least play some parts for him.
Yeah, because it was interesting and it was something that all of our listeners need to realize is that we can take control of the situation. We don't have to be the victims. We can stand up. And the law isn't always behind our side. Obviously, there's a difference between legal and lawful. But at that same note, we can still take control of our situation and not be dependent on the system, not allow them to abuse us using any outlet possible, whether it's, the sheriffs in this case. And of course, I've talked a lot about the importance of the sheriff's office in general. It's a buffer between us and federal tyranny. And in addition to that, it's a buffer between us and, in this case,
Tuskin for sheriff.
Huge banks.
BobTuskin.com.
Hey, look, man, the sheriffs are more powerful than the president.
Well, that's a perfect example because I can guarantee Obama or whoever the puppet is would not have, stood up to Bank of America like the local sheriff's office did in this case.
No, not at all. They wouldn't. In that case, I mean, they're one of his biggest funders. He would have said, hey, sorry. I mean, look, the feds didn't go after Bank of America was supposed to be getting investigated for all these fraudulent, foreclosures and everything and taking people's homes wrongfully. I don't see anybody, you see these people losing their houses. You see families being destroyed, people getting divorced because of this, everything else. But yet I don't see one scumbag bank executive getting his ass handed to him or being dragged into jail. Put him in Gen Pop. Take one of these guys, put them in a maximum security prison with killers and rapists, and then put them in general population. And tell everybody that he's the man. The man that's been putting them down, he's the man. He's a banker. He's one of them. Let's see how long he survives in Gen Pop.
What about that IMF guy, Khan or whatever? They got him.
That's a setup. That thing is such a setup, dude. I mean, come on. They don't eat. They eat their own when they need to, and that guy is definitely getting sacrificed.
Cannibalism.
Totally.
I mean, don't you agree? That reeks of.
Well, if he was a
total
pedophile, and exposed the pedophile rings amongst these evil satanic bastards, then we would not have heard about it. But yet, I don't know if you guys know this, but I've decided to change my program's format quite drastically. We're going to be covering nothing but Casey Anthony 24/7 on the show now. Okay, because who cares? Yeah. Who cares about the thousands of children that go missing each year, and these pedophile rings, this conspiracy of silence, Franklin files, all these aspects of these scumbags that are a real threat to humanity. I really don't care about those things anymore, Popeye, because Casey Anthony, I don't know if you know this, but this lady is on trial for killing her daughter. Can you believe this? I mean, this is something that warrants my attention more so than anything else in the world.
Apparently, that's what the mainstream media feels,
And Congressman Weiner.
Well,
we're going to have some Wiener focus. Yes, I won't.
God.
Wiener Schnitzel 2012.
First of all, do you know what even makes that even worse? You know what empowers that? The fact that Anthony Weiner is digging his own grave with this. And see, this is a perfect example of a media feeding frenzy. They find something, they run with it, and rather than him just squash it, every time he went out and tried to do a press conference, his body language and what he was saying were two different things, to the point where you could see it. So you could tell he's lying about something. He won't answer any direct questions. He won't answer one statement. He goes out and does all this grandstanding, but he won't answer. It's all misdirection if you listen to his answers. So the media sees that and they pick up on it and they focus on that. So what do you get? You get people, well, we should be worried about Weiner, sending photos of himself to a girl. Why? I'm glad he's sending photos of himself to a 21-year-old girl rather than a 15-year-old boy.
Well, and part of that is the fact that they're working on this debt ceiling thing, and it's a total diversion.
It's distraction. It's misdirection.
Yeah. Because they should be talking about that the whole time, essentially.
And when they do talk about it, what do they say, guys? What's their? Oh, well, we got to raise the debt ceiling because otherwise we're going to have economic collapse and martial law and everything. Here we go again, just like the TARP bailout. Everything is spooky, the end of the world. No, you're full of crap. Your world will end. Your aspirations will end for the New World Order if we don't continually feed you the money. See, the problem is since 9/11, and Robert Gates admitted this giving a speech, and I don't remember exactly where it was, about a month ago. You can see it on YouTube. He admitted that pretty much what 9/11 was for, because he said, well, since 9/11, the floodgates of spending have opened to the military, pretty much the military-industrial complex. He didn't word it quite like that, but to the defense industry, and it hasn't been turned off since. So he's telling you right there what 9/11 was for. They used 9/11 like a key to unlock the vault door, and they don't want to close it. See, that's why I had this argument with someone in my family recently where I tried to explain to them that if we stopped bombing Pakistan, Libya, got our guys out of Iraq and Afghanistan, we wouldn't have such a debt problem. And they were like, no, the wars don't contribute that much. And they started to spew the stuff that they hear on Fox News. And I had to stop them. And I was like, look, seriously, you're wrong. You should go look up. The reason we have to borrow all this money is because of 9/11, and I'm doing air quotes, to protect us from the bad guys, the terrorists, Bin Laden in a cave with a laptop. I mean, come on. It's all BS. This guy is a total spook. Look at Bin Laden. He's completely fabricated. He's the boogeyman, And it's just it gets frustrating because it's like you can't believe. You got to stop believing what you see on mainstream media about this. There's more to it. We just stopped our warlike ways, we wouldn't have such a friggin' problem with the economy. It's as simple as that. We stopped blowing up innocent kids, innocent women, we wouldn't have a problem with the economy. This is the price we're paying for condoning this crap. We're going to break, guys. We'll be right back. Stay tuned. This is Down the Rabbit Hole. I'm your host, Popeye.
Mary Magdalene giving birth to the children of Jesus, the evolution of the world, bloody and dramatic. Human beings killing monkeys to conquer the planet, the kingdoms of Africa and Mesopotamia. Machine gun your body with depleted uranium. This is the age of
Welcome back. This is Down the Rabbit Hole. It is Sunday, June 5th, 2011. I'm your host, Popeye, and I'm joined by my two good friends, Shepard Ambellas and Mr. Bob Tuskin. The man who seems to be able to piss off a lot of trolls. Bob, I'll tell you what, you are a troll magnet, buddy. They don't like you at all.
Where's that at?
No, anytime
we haven't seen that.
That one
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, that one specific group that doesn't like you. What's the name of that? Those morons that don't like you? That are co-intel?
I've never heard of them.
The idiots on Skype?
Yeah. What are
Bob,
they?
Yeah, Bob knows who I'm talking about.
I've never heard of these people.
Yeah. Bob knows exactly who I'm talking about. These guys are hardcore.
Don't mention it. Come on.
I'm not even going to mention their website. I won't. That's why I'm going around it because I won't give them any airtime or any play. But those guys are totally hardcore scumbags, dude. I mean, come on. You don't think that they're intel? Honestly, I do.
Sure. Probably.
When you see the emblems on their site, it says that says it right there. That's what we have to deal with today. You have to deal with trolls, and the trolls aren't trolls. They're not. Half of them aren't even the paid people that they used to be anymore. Now it's a computer program.
They do have some great pictures of Bob, I have to say.
Don't they? Now, see, I wasn't going to bring that up, Shep.
No, I'm just kidding.
Now you just threw Bob on the bird. That was nice.
They probably just gave him good publicity.
But see, I won't shout. I won't give
his ranking just went up in the celebrity gossip world.
This is going to take like forever. People are going to be trying to figure out who we're talking about, and
they'll never know.
Nope.
Because they've never heard of these people.
Nope.
They're pretty much unknown. So we should take some calls. I was thinking on some different topics, some wild topics. What do you think about that?
It depends on the topic, though.
I want to hear from people that have seen chupacabras.
No, that's we had this conversation off air. I told you guys no more chupacabra, no more aliens. You two are psychos. Stop it. Stop talking about.
Oh, hold on, Popeye. I gotta go. I think I see a Bigfoot.
Oh God. No, and by the way, yes, listeners, I believe that this stuff exists. But Bob thinks he is a Bigfoot. That's the problem. During the break, Bob was saying that he thinks that the aliens are going to come get him.
I got big feet. I'm a size 11 and a half. And you know what they say about people with big feet, right?
Yeah, they have big afros, just like you.
Big socks. Yep.
Hey, aren't you going to some freedom thing in the next month or so? Some conference?
They have a conference. They invited me to speak at a conference. After speaking at the Free Your Mind conference, I thought I would be banned from public speaking.
I thought it was a rather good speech, actually.
Well, thank you. You're too kind. But no, I managed to go speak at Truth Fest is what it's called. So it will be in Orlando in a couple of months, and I'll give you more details as we come closer to that event. And cool. I hope to be in 3 months from about a week from now in New York. I want to be.
Myself too. I hope to be up there for the 10th anniversary. Planning
past years, I've kind of been reluctant to go up there. To be honest, I've been to New York quite a bit. Most of my family's from up there, and New York's very close to my heart. But I felt like it was a trap to go there on 9/11. That somehow, some way, my paranoid mind got to me, and I wouldn't do it. But I said to myself recently, what do I have to lose? It's now 10 years later, and I need to get up there. I need to get face-to-face with these people that have awakened, for lack of a better term, to this madness. And I hope to be there along with great activists, Popeye, federaljack.com. I'm sure there will be many, many more great activists that we work with already on a daily basis on our shows and that kind of thing. And this will be a great opportunity for us to come together in solidarity and say, it's 10 years later, let's do something about it.
Yeah, we need to start prosecuting these people. It's time that these, like Silverstein gets prosecuted.
Zip tie them.
And I don't know if you guys saw, but the Willis Tower, which was the Sears Tower, he owns it. It's up for sale in Chicago.
Nice. I saw that.
Citizens arrest.
Here we go.
They have that beautiful sky deck. It seems to me like his insurance policy might be cashed in on very soon here.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I've said that before, and I know other people have.
There's a lot of similarities. We talked about the asbestos problem with Willis Tower. We talked about, the security firms involved with the tower.
Rahm Emanuel being the mayor of Chicago.
Rahm Emanuel
being never let a good crisis.
How convenient. Yeah. Weird.
How convenient. It's just a coincidence, Shep.
It's coincidental. Mm-hmm. All right, let's go to the phones. Chupacabras. 1-800-CHUPA.
Hello. My name is Franz. I called for Chupacabra talk.
No Chupacabra callers. See, my listeners know better than to call in about stupid crap like that because I'll hang up on the person. I don't tolerate that retard. I mean, if I was having a conversation about aliens or Bigfoot, then I would totally listen to someone's viewpoint on it. I believe it exists. What it is, I don't know. Obviously, there's enough evidence to point that there's something out there. All these people can't be having what all these skeptics say, mass hallucinations. Those people get blown off just like we get blown off when we try to tell people, hey, you're standing on the tracks and there's a train coming. Hear the noise? Hear the horn? Now don't worry about that. Just keep looking at the train. It's a pretty light. We get treated the same way that they get treated. So I understand how they feel, but I don't want to hear Bigfoot. I want to hear how people feel about, their civil liberties getting taken from them. Or did anybody see the Adam Kokesh dance party? How about that? That was awesome. A couple hundred people showed up. That was great. They didn't body slam anybody this time because last time there was only about 4 or 5 people. This time there was more people than there was cops. Of course, they eventually shut it down because they said they found a quote-unquote suspicious package.
Well, that's how it works. Everything's suspicious nowadays.
Well, that's in the playbook, right? Like, if all else fails, just say, I found suspicious package.
Yeah, I mean, everything. Your neighbor's suspicious nowadays. You should instantly turn your neighbors in for... Say something, Shepard.
Yeah. Janet Napolitano, Big Sis says, you have to watch your neighbor. And if your neighbor happens to buy an extra case of toilet paper, he might be Al-Qaeda.
Well, he might be harboring bin Laden.
Oh, my God. Bin Laden. That's what the extra thing of toilet paper is for, Shepard.
Sure.
It's for bin Laden to wipe his rear end with. So you got to raid his house.
You have to disseminate the groceries that are being carried into everyone's house and actually know, what these people are feeding the people in their house, how many operatives might be in there. All sorts of stuff to consider nowadays.
Now,
the Gestapo is back.
I got to be a party pooper here for a moment, in a sense, and suggest that perhaps Mr. Kokesh and the fellow dancers were out of line. And I'll tell you why. Okay? And I know this isn't a popular stance, and I'm not necessarily taking it, so don't get me wrong. And I do think the force was ridiculous. But just like certain places owned by the federal government, not everybody has access to it. Whether we like it or not, it is controlled by the state. And if you want to work to change policy amongst that property that is owned by the state, then you can work within the state. But that is not something up to the individual's whim. So I've seen it expressed much more eloquently than I possibly could. But I think in some sense it wasn't necessarily in line, and not necessarily in line, but it wasn't necessarily a proper thing to do to dance and then not leave once being asked to leave.
Oh, it depends on the situation. Hold on, guys. We're getting a call. We're going to break. I'm gonna take the caller, but I'm gonna take the caller after the break. Stay tuned. We'll be back in a few minutes. We're going to pay the bills. This is Down the Rabbit Hole.
People are always asking me, yo, Gemini,
Go visit my website.
Are you a devil or an angel?
Educate yourself. Check out BobTuskin.com and the IntelHub.com.
Templar and the Hospitallers, the real reason New York lost their towers. Don't sit back or hesitate to react to the impact. Many taking a nap. In fact, they would fake an attack to make way for the pain.
Federal Jack.
Uh-oh. I'm being chased by the Rothschilds in the New World Order. Welcome back, guys.
We're coming to get you.
Oh, they're coming to get me! Ah! Welcome back, guys. This is Down the Rabbit Hole. I'm your host, Popeye from FederalJack.com.
How far down are we?
Well, if we hit the bottom, that's when we really start to talk about things like the Franklin
Chupacabras.
No. Chupacabra is about halfway up.
Hollow Earth.
Cover-up is definitely more towards the bottom, like where they were raping little kids and things like that. That kind of sick, twisted crap.
What about Planet X?
No, I don't really know if I buy into all that stuff. I believe that, like I said, I believe in aliens and all that, but I don't know.
Watch The Event, dude? The movie, the TV show, The Event? Oh,
no, I don't watch
man.
I don't watch
What about Dancing with the Stars?
No, I don't watch any of that crap. Let me ask, we got a caller. We're joined by my good friend, John Preston. And I want to ask you, John, do you watch Dancing with the Stars or American Idol?
No, I
Hey,
don't.
John, I don't know if you know this, but Adam Kokesh is going to be in the new Dancing with the Stars season.
Is this, well, if you want my personal opinion, Adam Kokesh, he's in my sights too. Because, look, I don't appreciate misbehavior under the guise of freedom, especially being a man, a fellow guy who is in uniform. Look, just because we're trying to make a point about how serious we are about our freedoms, okay, doesn't mean that going around acting like a fool just because you want to make a statement is beneficial at all. Because, see, what I think that young man has forgotten, and I don't know what he did in the military, but I know what I did, okay? And there's blood on our hands, okay? And when we go around flaunting, okay, and dirtying the waters, so to speak, you know, we're tainting the message. We're tainting the message. Well, I'm going to go dance somewhere where people don't go dance, okay, first off. That was ignorant, okay? And what it was publicity, okay? And if you know that these jackboot clowns are gonna, come give you trouble because you wanted to dance like an ass, that really makes me mad because our brothers and sisters are dying, okay? And like how you guys joke about chupacabras and UFOs, I wholeheartedly agree because we could go outside and watch these clowns with badges stomp on our freedoms, molest and injure our children. And there's more important things. And to make sure that you guys, not meaning you, but making sure that we got cameras on us and so we can show cops roughing us up because we decide we want to dance at a place that it's not really an appropriate venue to be dancing at. Nevertheless, that doesn't mean that you can't dance. But it's not like the man is a dancer and needed to go dance. I mean, look, we're manufacturing situations, and it's tainting the message. Period. And I guess you forget that people are dying.
Yeah, that's exactly right. This isn't about being able to dance necessarily. We have the freedom to dance. So what's more important is that we deal with the crimes against humanity that are taking place on a continuous basis, not for one person in one situation like the obsession with these Casey Anthony type stories. This is about a bigger picture here, folks, a end game, if you will, for lack of a better term.
Well, they want you to focus on stupid things. They want you to focus, the media wants you to focus your attention in a myopic view so that you're only looking at a small little portion. They don't want you to step back 30 or 40 feet and look at the bigger picture and see how everything's interconnected and look at the grander scheme of things. And I'm not implying that Adam Kokesh is part of like the mainstream media or any of that crap. That's not what I mean. I mean how the idiot American media, the CIA pretty much, covers any event. They twist things. You know, look, like Bob was talking about with Casey Anthony. You have this crap. You have Wienergate. We should be more worried about the money we're spending, the fact that we're bombing countries that we shouldn't be in. We're putting our own men and women in harm's way that don't. Why are we putting veterans, active duty or vets? What doesn't matter? Why are we putting our own people in harm's way? Why are we subjecting these children to things that they should not be subjected to? Because at the whim of some schmuck in office who decides it's like playing a game of chess. Because that's what it is.
Absolutely, brother. But let me ask you something right quick, man. I'm not trying to hijack nothing, but look, on that same note, because you're on that aspect, you're absolutely right, and I'm with you. But also, we also need to watch what we do and people who do things under the same guise or the same genre or whatever the movement, whatever you want to call it.
Oh, I agree with that wholeheartedly, John.
When we got people like this, you know, it's like going to provoke the bear and then get mad when the bear go ahead and claws you in the face. You know, that kind of takes away from the whole scheme of what we're trying to do. Now, did the cops need to put hands on the guy? No. But did he need to go, to the Jefferson Memorial and dance to provoke police? See, we become kind of responsible when we go provoke as well. And, you know, regardless of the fact, it's not Rockefellers, it's not the CFR, CMP, or any of them clowns that are kicking in doors. They're not the ones taking away children. I can say a whole list. You get the gist of what I'm saying. So it's what is here. Now, look, we don't need, police don't need our help to show their tyranny, okay? They do it on their own.
As a vet, John, let me ask you this: as a vet, how do you propose? Because you've had your own experience with police and everything else, so you actually have a better viewpoint on it. What would be a good, in your estimation, how would you approach a cop and say, hey man, look, you gotta, you took an oath, don't be roughing up citizens, whatever, trying to educate them so they're not some jackboot thug, or at least trying to wake them up a little bit. How would you approach the situation?
Well, there's two routes you can go, okay? The first one is what we call a visible active response. And that's when they are in the middle of stepping on someone's freedoms or liberty, or literally stepping on them, where you go ahead and you take your left hand and you gently wrap it around their neck. And as you're pulling them off this innocent individual, with that right hand, you secure your second ability to control the situation. Now, hopefully it doesn't come to that. Now, if it's just an outreach type program, let's look at this. We ask, and rightfully so, we should demand certain things from these people, i.e. the police. But what are we also doing? You see, just because we have a constitution to stand on and in truth, it's not like we're spitting lies and deception. We're telling truth. But what are we doing to go out of our way to show them, hey, we're on your side? See, we're quick to point out when they're bogus. We're quick to point out when they're in the wrong. But are we also being helpful, aiding citizens, okay? Because look, there are other bad guys out there too. That's not just New World Order. There's actual literal bad guys. And are we taking upon ourselves as a part of the community, as it's a self-responsibility. Look, you could do a lot more with action than talk. Are we helping them also get the real bad guys? You see, Or are we just saying, hey, you know, when that guy smacks around his lady half time, it's okay? Or you know, well, that guy's 17, so it doesn't matter that he's selling coke to him because he's almost an adult. You know, I'm kind of going, you know, to an extreme. But I think we should put forth the same amount of effort in we should put forth the same amount of effort in helping them keep our community safe, which is supposed to be the whole basis. Then we do pointing out when they're wrong. But so what I'm saying is telling them that they have an oath to uphold. It's a lot easier when you're actually shown that you know, you mean business, but you also mean business on both sides, keeping the community safe, making sure that there's no real bad guys around, but also make sure that the police aren't becoming bad guys. And I think they'd be a lot more receptive to seeing you not being on the attack mode and shoving a pamphlet in their face to remind them that they have an oath, than it is than aiding them. And then when you have that wall down, when they say, hey, this guy, you know, he has a lot of smarts, and although he hits us when we mess up, he's also, you know, a positive person in the community. And once that little wall's down, they're going to be a lot more receptive to you reminding them that they have an oath to uphold. But you make sure when you let them know, in any way you do it, whether it's, you know, activism or you know, helping them out when you know, there's one cop on the scene and there's 4 individuals that are really in the wrong, you know, type thing, you know. Look, you're in the military, you know how to do everything from traffic control to, you know, keeping other bystanders out the way. You know, there's little things we could do, and they're going to be a lot more receptive. But we need to make sure at the same time not do it in a kiss-ass way. As we remind them, they have a oath to uphold. You have to let them know, too, that so do you.
If took responsibility, John, you're right. If people took more responsibility in their own community, you wouldn't need so many. There would be no justification to have a bazillion and one cops, because you wouldn't need them. You'd have people directing traffic on their own and handling business on their own. So you wouldn't need Johnny Law or the government to do it for you. So I totally agree. That's actually an excellent standpoint, and that's why I like having you on, because you always bring a view that not many other people do, John. Guys, stay tuned. We're going to break. This is Down the Rabbit Hole. I'm your host, Popeye. You're listening to us on Micro 1650 AM, the Orion Talk Radio Network.
I can never return, and if I back down now, then forever I burn. This is the point from which I can never retreat, because if I turn back now, there can never be peace. This is the point from which I will die, succeed, live in the struggle. I know I'm alive when I bleed. From now on, it can never be the same as before, because the place that I'm from doesn't exist anymore.
Welcome back to the show. It is June 5th, 2011. This is Down the Rabbit Hole. I'm your host, Popeye, from federaljack.com. Go check my site out. Go check out the intelhub.com. That's Mr. Shepard Ambellas' site. Check out bobtuskin.com. That's Bob's site. And check out question46.info. That's John's site. And John, you have some new endeavors you're working on?
Yeah, my man. I appreciate you bringing that up. We got Snake Eater Radio actually launching officially tomorrow, and you know what it's going to be. It's no different than a network or anything, except I get to go ahead and there's no freedom and a willy-nilly freedom, so to speak, on that station. I will play people's shows like yourselves and others that I deem are beneficial. And that way, you know, because I appreciate my listeners, and your listeners and everyone else's listeners, they look to you for a certain respect and a certain obligation to them. So I get to control exactly what goes on the network. So not only with that, we'll have different music rock blocks, and a little pet baby of mine is playing old-time radio shows. A little something, just a little entertainment to get away from the flicker rates and everything and get back to helping people use their imagination. So, yeah, we'll launch officially tomorrow at 07. And, Snake Eater Radio.
The old school, like, radio programs where they did, like, actual, like, instead of TV, but families would get around, like, an old school radio and actually listen and use their brains. Interesting
Absolutely.
concept, John. Interesting concept.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, this weekend we rolled out quite a few episodes of The Shadow, Box 13, Lights Out, and even threw in a couple of The Lone Rangers.
The Shadow and the Lone Ranger. That is awesome.
You know, look, I'll tell you what, on a personal note, those things helped me out when I was jumping from foster home to foster home when I was knee-high to a fly. And, well, it's something that I shared with my knuckleheads, and they tend to like it. So it's a little something that, people can turn on to their kids as well, let alone themselves. So, yeah, that's Snake Eater Radio, and that can be accessed at question46.info. And to your listeners, look, y'all may have not known, but we ran quite a few of Popeye shows this weekend as, doing my test runs. And, yeah, we're locked, cocked, and ready to rock. So that's pretty much my endeavor right there, and other than what I normally do. And, just hopefully as a team we can get some good things together and, make this, what we're trying to do, more beneficial to everyone and more enjoyable as well, because we have to remember to enjoy ourselves. So.
I agree. You have to, once in a while, you got to take a step back. I can honestly say with having the website down this week, I had some free time. I had a lot of free time because there was, a lot of it was out of my hands when it comes to technical stuff. That's why I have IT guys. And I was able to do some video editing and actually spend some more time with my wife that I haven't been able to spend time with her in a while. And I honestly, it was kind of a little bit of a reprieve and a much-needed break, because when you do this day in and day out, you're trying to, wake people up and help people out. Stress builds up. Doesn't matter if you're a happy-go-lucky guy. Doesn't matter if, you think that you can let all the negativity bounce off. It's just stress naturally builds up, and that stress can turn into disease and sickness and everything else and really screw you up if you don't take care of it. So it's definitely needed. And that's cool that you're offering that little service, John, where people can actually go back and listen to the old-time radio shows, because that is something, again, that was when families sat around and got together. Like if you look at the picture, if you look at JJ's the banner for his show, when I made it, I used a picture of a bunch it's an old school family sitting around an old school radio listening to a radio program, and the grandmother has a pad and a pen in her hand. And that's the way it used to be. People used to pay attention and listen and take notes and try to educate themselves. Nowadays, people take that crap for granted. They have a cell phone that makes pancakes, and as long as they have that, they're comfortable. Don't ruffle their feathers. Don't I don't want to piss anybody off. Let's not go too far to the right or too far to the left. Let's stay right on this narrow-minded path. Let's not step back and look at the bigger picture. People are comfortable.
Well, it's lack of fortitude. It's
exactly.
also lack of fortitude to do anything, to actually have to sit back and think and imagine something in lieu of having it put in front of you, and it really, when you break down to the least common denominator, it's actually one of the biggest problems that has put us into the position we are today. It's the lack of intestinal fortitude to do what's supposed to be done. Because as you pointed out earlier today, that personal responsibility, if that was actually not only embraced but used, we wouldn't have these problems. It didn't matter how many Rockefellers Grandma Rockefeller pushed out. It wouldn't matter, because the people would actually not just hear and repeat, but be showing the power that they have. And, well, it all starts at home, and it starts with you and your knuckleheads, So... But hey, I'm going to let you go on with your two friends on the line, fellas. I actually have been able to listen to a couple of your shows, and really enjoy being able to hear you over here as a guest on our network too. And I just want to thank you for sharing your guys' time with me. And we'll talk to you later.
No problem, John. Thanks for calling in. Hey, we got another caller on the line. Brian, is that you? Brian, you there, buddy?
Hey.
Oh, I think we lost him. We'll try again.
Hey, it's Brian. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Brian was trying to call in, but I guess his phone is acting up. Brian, you can go ahead and try to call back.
I can do a decent Brian impression, I think. Hey. How are you?
Brian's got his finally got his site back up and
Good.
got rid of Right Haven. I think he's still fighting them to try to get them to pay his attorney's fees, though. Let me see. He's trying to call back. Let me see if we can get him in this time. Stand by. Brian, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hey, how's it going, Brian?
Going good.
So you were talking to me the other day, and you were telling me about the Protect IP Act and a little more about what was going on. And I haven't had a chance to actually get you on and talk about it for a few minutes.
Yeah, Brian, let me ask
ahead.
you this. Can I actually be arrested for embedding a YouTube video?
Well, the way it's going to work is the Attorney General will have the power as a plaintiff to sue anyone that he believes is infringing copyrights. And some people thought that he would just do it on behalf of the copyright owner, but it does not specify that in the bill. I mean, it actually says that there are two qualifying plaintiffs, and one of them is, as always, the copyright holder, and the second plaintiff would be the Attorney General of the United States, which would be Eric Holder. So, in other words, he could sue you if he thinks you're infringing any kind of copyrights, even if you're just bringing out a video for educational purposes. And what they're planning on doing is then you got to go to court and you have to pay all these legal fees, and I mean, I've even heard that now they could sit there and throw people in prison because they can't pay off their debt. So what they're going to be doing is they're going to force people to be in debt, and then they're going to probably throw them in prison.
There's no such thing as a debtor's prison last time I checked.
Our whole
there
system,
is now.
Hey, that doesn't even make sense. The whole system's stupid, because why wouldn't the person that uploaded the video just check a box that says, hey, you can't embed this, and then put the responsibility on the uploader? I mean, how stupid to create a whole system.
Well, if you go to YouTube videos now, when you upload something, every time you upload a video, now you have to click you have to select one or the other. It's standard YouTube license or Creative Commons, and Creative Commons means anybody can use it. So anytime I upload something now that I created or that I get from somebody that I know has given the freedom to put stuff out, okay, or has told me specifically I can put their stuff out, which there's a few people that I know I specifically talked to face-to-face about it. So, or over the phone or Skype or whatever. That stuff I put Creative Commons, but the other stuff, anything else I upload, I leave it with the standard YouTube license. Now, they're not really specific about what that is, but being a pretty smart individual and using some common sense and knowing what this Protect IP Act is about, I think they're setting it up so if people put, if an uploader uploads something and they've got like a standard YouTube license or whatever, that if you re-upload it and they didn't give you Creative Commons license, they might be able to go after you now. But maybe that's what this is about. So, I don't know. All right, guys, stay tuned. Got another 45 minutes. We got to go pay some bills. We'll be back in a few minutes. You're listening to Down the Rabbit Hole. I'm your host, Popeye. Go check out my website, federaljack.com.
It wasn't easy.
Welcome back. Today is June 5th, 2011. This is Down the Rabbit Hole. I'm your host, Popeye, from federaljack.com. Go check my website out. I spend a lot of time on it. Check out Bob Tuskin's site, bobtuskin.com, and it's Tuskin, just in case anybody's wondering, because I know there's a lot of misspellings of it. I even misspelled it myself once. Spelled it like Toucan Sam. And go check out the Intel Hub, intelhub.com. Shepard and Alex spend a lot of time on it, and they deserve at least 5 minutes, 10 minutes of your time. I guarantee you'll find more interesting information on those three websites than any mainstream media source ever. And of course, you guys go check out John Preston's site, question46.info, and he's on after my show, 7 to 9, right here on the Orion Talk Radio Network. It's been a hell of a week, huh, boys, with all the weird news that's going on. I think during the break I was talking to Brian, and he was telling me that he was covering the whole dance party thing. And I'm interested in the dance parties, today, because I'm interested in getting a lot of people's viewpoints on it. I don't think you could, you could at least have, you can't have an intelligent discussion at a roundtable group without getting differing opinions on things. So I think it's important that everybody's side gets listened to, not just one person saying, this is how I feel, or another person's viewpoint. I think all viewpoints are important. That's what freedom of information and freedom is about. That's how this great experiment was created, was differing viewpoints getting together for the better good. So I think it's imperative that we have that kind of type of discussion. So Brian, what's your take on the Jefferson dance party? And you've been writing an article about it.
Well, my take on it is that, he wasn't really causing damage to any property, and he wasn't trying to attack any security or staff there. So I think that, if he wants to dance, then he should have pretty much a right to dance as long as he's not obstructing other people. And all he was really doing was trying to demonstrate in a way that doesn't, he's trying to demonstrate without getting people scared. I mean, he's trying to dance because a lot of people like dancing. Dancing is everywhere. People dance at dance parties. So he thought, hey, if I can dance, then who knows? Everybody will start dancing at the Jefferson Memorial.
I think it was good. I think it was good in a way that it showed that people will stand up. I understand. I know the full picture. I understand why it happened. It was because there was a court ruling where somebody else was doing that a couple of years ago or whatever, and they got arrested, and then they sued, and they lost the court case and the appeal. So, and the judge said, yeah, dancing is not a way to, show reverence inside of the rotunda. You could do so out on the stairs, just not inside the rotunda. I think if they had done it on the stairs and the cops had come out and done it, it would have even been worse, because now what the cops did to them was unjustifiable. I don't think it was right that they body slammed those guys. I agree with both. I kind of understand both sides, and I kind of have to straddle the middle and say I don't agree with what the cops did. I understand that the judge ruled inside the rotunda, but they were doing civil disobedience, which is what the Constitution is about. So I commend the civil disobedience, even if I think. And I really don't think that it's disrespectful, but I guess there could be a better way to show reverence to Jefferson. Although Jefferson himself broke out into fiddle playing, out of nowhere randomly, and even broke into little dances here and there. So who knows? Maybe Jefferson would find it appropriate that people danced inside the rotunda to him. I mean, that's really neither here nor there. I just think the cops were out of control to begin with. I think they could have just said, hey, look, can you guys kind of just, if you're going to dance, try to keep it at least maybe to the side so that you don't bump into people or something as a safety thing. But there was no reason to physically assault anybody. That was out of control. And that shows how much of a police state we are. That shows, how close we are to Nazi Germany, if not already there, because you can't dance in place. They didn't have boom boxes. They had headphones on. So it shows it, but Preston was also correct that it was a planned event. So, I mean, look, NBC, you see the one news guy getting shuffled out of the way. It was done for promotion. So it was kind of like, he's right. They were poking the bear. So I understand that viewpoint too. You know what I mean? Like, it's a tricky situation, but as if you want a basic generic view on it, I don't think they should have beat the crap out of them at all. I think Kokesh was within his rights to dance, as were the others, and I think their constitutional rights were violated. I think as a whole, I think Jefferson would be puking at the fact that people would get arrested for dancing at a memorial idolizing him. I don't think that he would agree with it. That's my personal viewpoint. It doesn't make it right. I want to stress that. It doesn't mean that I'm not God, I'm not omnipotent, I don't know everything. But my viewpoint on the matter, if you're tuning into my show, you obviously respect what I have to say somewhat. So my viewpoint on it is I don't think Jefferson would like it. Not everybody may agree with me. That's cool. But I don't think Jefferson would like the heavy-handedness about it. There's definitely a better way to go about it. As history has shown time and time again, look, calling the cops doesn't help you anymore. There used to be a time where you'd want the police to come and help you because, that was their job. But calling the cops just makes things worse every time. You see parents that can't control their kids, so they call the cops, and then the cop ends up tasering some teenager. I mean, how outrageous is that? First of all, if you have a kid and you can't parent your child where you have to call the cops, you're a loser. Okay, time to step up to the plate. Time to stop being a loser. Stop watching American Idol. Stop eating high fructose corn syrup and everything else. Time to start paying attention to what your kid is doing. Your kid wouldn't get in so much trouble if you were an active parent. I got to say, my mother and father had this uncanny. Now they got divorced when I was a kid, but I got to tell you what, my parents had this uncanny ability to know when my brother and I were up to stuff, even if I hadn't had contact with them in 24 hours. Say I was, I had seen them early in the morning for 5 minutes, and then I went off to school and I was doing my own thing, and I didn't see my mom till the next day because by the time, I came, I used to I had a little bit of freedom. So as long as I checked in with my mother every, 12 to 18 hours, I was okay. But there were times I stayed out a little later. I didn't get my rear end handed to me. But my parents knew when I was up to stuff because they knew what I was capable of. My mom knew I was no angel. She knew I was not a saint. My father knew I was not a saint. My mother and father never growing up ever said, oh, my son would never do that when I got in trouble. Because they knew what I was capable of. They knew what my brother was capable of. Nowadays, parents don't own the responsibility of their children. They just say, oh, well, whatever. I need to call the police. I can't handle this child. I mean, that's my viewpoint on it. That's what I see. I see a drastic difference from when I grew up. Now, I know, Bob, you're a little younger than me, but even your generation, you guys still had – it's different from when you were a kid, is it not?
Absolutely. It's funny that you say that because although I'm only 25, I see a huge difference between people 10 years younger than I am and my age bracket. I see a difference between my brother, who's 3 years younger than me. So, it never stops. Let's talk more about that when we get back here from the break.
Away from the terrorists themselves.
Yeah. We always get cut off by these breaks just when you get to the meat and potatoes. Listeners, stay tuned. When we come back, Bob's going to bring us back in from break and touch on what he was talking about. Stay tuned. You don't want to miss it.
I continue to blame the Knights Templar and the Hospitallers, the real reason New York lost their towers. Don't sit back or hesitate to react to the impact. Many taking a nap. In fact, they would fake an attack to make way for the Patriots.
Welcome back to the show. Today's June 5th, 2011. This is Down the Rabbit Hole. I'm your host, Popeye. I'm joined by my friends Bob Tuskin, Shepard Ambellas, Brian from USWGO. Brian, during the break, we were discussing, your article on the whole Jefferson dance party. And, the differing points of view and everything. What have you, from what you've seen so far with the dance party, from what I saw, the cops pretty much behaved themselves yesterday, correct? They didn't arrest anybody or assault anybody?
From what I read in the article, all they did was just close down the memorial this time.
Yeah, I heard that they had, and I had read and seen on the video that they had, that from people that were in there, that they were saying there was a suspicious package.
They
right?
tried to minimize the whole event, Popeye, is what they did. They said dozens of people came there when it was more like hundreds of people there. And of course, they allowed for it to happen because they need release valves to not allow for the pressure to build up any bigger than it already was. And if we allow for these moments to continue to ferment and grow, then we'll be in a world of hurt. So that's what it was. It was a release valve. You know, if they were to oppress this, then the protests next time would have been bigger. And
they know that. They know that.
Right,
they study this kind of stuff. It's not like they don't study this. A lot of people think that they don't pay attention to this stuff.
No, you're right.
It's important for the listeners to understand Bob's not nuts. Bob is 110% accurate. And it's not because I'm his friend. If he was wrong, I would tell him he's wrong. My friends know that, okay? Or at least if I thought he was wrong, I would tell him and why. But he's right because these people study this kind of stuff, and this is what they do. They don't look 5 years into the future. They think 10, 20, 30 years into the future. They're thinking 15, 20 steps ahead of you. So they know. They see this, and they go, oh, my God, this Adam Kokesh kid, Jesus, we shouldn't have screwed with them. We should have just let them do their thing, and it would have blown over. Because even Kokesh said if they had been able to dance in there, it would have ended there. So they realized they made a mistake. So this time, they don't attack the people. Because if they had laid hands on people and started macing people or tasering people, the next time, it would have been out of control. There would have been thousands of people. So rather than let it get that big, you're right. They let some of the steam blow off, and look, now there's not going to be, because it went off. Pretty much without a hitch. Nobody got arrested. You know, they eventually closed the memorial down, but nobody got beaten up or tased or arrested.
We're going to see that the 15 minutes of fame with this story are going to come and go.
Yep.
And this isn't the tip of the iceberg, or this is just the tip of the iceberg.
Oh
rather.
yeah, there's bigger. This is just the tip of what's going on. But see, they only allow the focus to be on it for a second. You're right. 15 minutes of fame, and it's going to be up.
But the media likes that because they like people dancing around like that. You know, they'll show any clip they can of people in drum circles protesting or dancing hippies, and it just makes the whole movement look stupid in a way. If you think about it, there's a bunch of
that's what Preston was talking about when he called up. That's what he meant. That kind of stuff makes us look like idiots, and they use it as fodder against us. And I have to agree with him when he says that. First of all, John knows what he's talking about. He's retired special forces. He trained to do counterintelligence operations. So that's why I have him, you know, on my show. That's why I like to have him, and I ask him his opinion because he has an insider's opinion that I can't get somebody else. So I respect what he has to say. Now, him and I don't always agree 100% on everything, but friends don't have to do that, and neither do compatriots. That would make for a very boring thing. It would make for a very boring conversation in life. But he is correct when he says that they use this against us. I mean, look what you just said, Shep. They love the pictures of idiots dancing around. And I'm not saying Kokesh is an idiot or anything like that, but you see a lot of times when there's protests, there could be 200,000 people at the protest, and the only people they focus on are the black bloc morons, which most of the time are cops, okay, or at least, you know, a unit of them are cops, and they focus on people that are hippies and drum circling and love and peace. And I'm not saying love and peace are a bad thing, but you know what I mean. They focus on specific stereotypes so that they can add that and say, yes, this is what it is. This is what they are. They're just a bunch of hippie moron protesters. You know, it's ridiculous.
Sure.
And the mainstream population, there's a good portion of the population that buys it. You know, I know super smart people, man. This is what really irritates me. You know, I know some super, super intelligent people, and I tell them, you're so smart. Why do you believe this crap? Why do you not listen to me? And they listen to me. They listen to my show. They go to my website, but yet they still find it hard to it's almost like they just years of being trained to listen to that, you know? And I understand all the mind control. Like I try not to get angry. Sometimes it's hard, but I try not to get angry because I understand. Doing the research into MK Ultra, I understand the level of things and control that they have over people between harmonics and TV and music and movies and subliminals and everything. It's just ridiculous. I mean, I'm gonna try to. Me and JJ, we talked about this a while ago. We're gonna do a 4-hour block on mind control, and I'm gonna try to line up a whole slew of guests to come on during the 4-hour block to come on and talk about their research and what they've uncovered and everything, because it is just incredible. I mean, Bob knows what I'm talking about. He's researched a lot of the same stuff I have with Kathy O'Brien. And Shep, I know you know what I'm talking about too. The things, like, I have a problem with Jim trafficking. The reason I have a problem with Jim trafficking is I have a few questions I want cleared up first. Why? Because Kathy O'Brien named him as one of her abusers. That's why. And she wasn't the only one. There's other mind control slaves that said that he was involved. And he was involved with the, I forget, it was like the Beauty Academy or something like that. It was where they made the presidential models.
Well, I don't want to name too many names, but
yeah, I don't know if it's true.
Amongst us, let me just say this though. Amongst us, I do believe that there are wolves in sheep's clothing, and there's a few individuals out there. I don't want to name names, but Leonard Horowitz, Ted Gunderson.
Wait a minute. Speaking of Len Horowitz, I heard something very interesting, and Bob, I spoke to you about this, and you and a few other people actually confirmed this, and then I was actually able to listen to the audio, and I fell out of my chair. Go ahead and tell the listeners what you found out about Len Horowitz and what you enlightened me to.
Oh, man. Do you really want to go down that rabbit hole?
Well, I think it's going to get covered. So either we either expose the scab now, we either rip the scab off the wound and clean it out and get rid of it, or else we're going to have a problem. So,
yeah, good point.
Yeah, you know that. Well, Sherry Kane emailed me. She was working with Lynn Horowitz, and
they're together. And I don't know that she was the lady involved here, but to make a long story short, there's been some leaked recordings of Dr. Horowitz, Len, as he goes by, on a evening in a hotel room with a female companion, in which we can hear very crude things happening, including duct tape and ketchup in your eyes and very bizarre language and weird stuff taking place. But I really think that's his personal life, and his private life, although very bizarre and very sadistic in many senses. I think the real nature of Len and his ways of covering things up can be found when you take a look at his work with HIV and AIDS specifically, and also the fact that he happens to be a member of the Knights of Malta, one of these Vatican organizations that we see complicit in a lot of this stuff.
Do you think that maybe, they have the ability to turn phones on. Do you think maybe, because I know you have, and it's not just Bob, it's other people have shown that Len Horowitz very well may be a disinformation agent.
No, it wasn't that they turned his phone on. In this case, what happened was that he was on a radio show, and he called up the show, he did his appearance, and he didn't hang up the phone.
Oh, so it was completely Horowitz's fault.
So because he hadn't hung up the phone, he was still able to be heard on this specific call-in bridge. And they actually had a lady you can hear telling him to hang up the phone, she couldn't actually hang up on him. He had to hang up on himself, but he failed to do so.
So you don't think it was a setup, right?
No.
Just a case of retarded bad luck. All right, guys, stay tuned. We're going to break. We'll be back with the final segment of the June 5th edition of Down the Rabbit Hole. Stay tuned.
FederalJack.com,
TheIntelHub.com. What about BobTuskin.com?
BobTuskin.com.
USWGO.com. Speaking of USWGO, Brian, during the break, you were telling me something interesting, and I'm going to get to you in a second. But before I let you get to your point, I just want, I want to stress that the reason I asked Bob about the whole Len Horowitz thing is, like I explained to Bob beforehand, is if we address it, now it's a non-issue. Because now we took the ammo out of their gun. Now there's not going to be, oh my God, And if there is, at least some people in the know will already have seen it. If there's an issue to be mad at Len Horowitz about, it's like Bob said, it's about other things he's done, not about what he does in his personal life. But see, that in itself almost obviously Horowitz brought it upon himself, and it'll just be used as fodder against him. Whether or not we do things purposely or accidentally, it just brings it back to the fact of you have to be more on point. If you're vocal about things, if you're involved in any way, shape, or form in any type of movement or whatever, or trying to just wake people up, if you're vocal and you're out there, you need to watch your six. You need to make sure that you got
because unfortunately what happens is that although this is a major fallacy and it should be not tolerated by any critical thinker, we see that because somebody's personal life is a certain way, that somehow discredits the information they're an activist on behalf.
Exactly.
So rather than look at the information unto itself, rather than look at some of the great work that Dr. Leonard Horowitz does do in many regards with the bird flu and the vaccines, and he has some things that I most certainly agree with. Rather than take a look at that information unto itself, because he is the messenger and we're so used to going after the messenger, this will now take away and dilute from people out there, not necessarily amongst us in the choir, coming across this information, because whether we like it or not, people are obsessed with this cult of gossip and personalities, and it becomes, again, about the messenger, not the message.
It's almost like e-entertainment television. That's the kind of quality of news that they want. They want gossip. They want celebrity gossip. And if you're vocal, whether or not you think you're a celebrity, the media will use it against you, and they will make you a celebrity if you're not. They'll build you up just to bring you down and tear you apart and discredit you, because that's what they do. That's their whole modus operandi. So you gotta just, again, I'm not hating on Len Horowitz at all. There is some information that he's covered some things up. He's also done a lot of good. I'm not here. The whole thing wasn't about judging Horowitz. It was about just getting it out. So, like I said to you, Bob, if someone's going to make fun of you for something, if you tear apart their ammo, if you take their ammo from them, if you kind of make fun of yourself and expose what they would say and make it look how stupid it really is, then you take all their ammo away from them. So, I think if anybody, stumbles across this or finds out about it and tries to, oh my God, Len Horowitz did this. Look, who cares? Honestly, it's out in the open. It happened. He needs to pay attention and watch his six better next time. Make sure he's ended the phone call, and that's it.
It's like the Congressman Weiner thing.
Exactly. Don't let this become a distraction. Stay focused on what the message is, and don't think that because someone talks about vaccines that they're into, weird type of bondage sex or whatever. That's his personal thing. Who cares? It's none of your business anyway. That's his constitutional right to be into that freaky stuff. So whatever.
Really freaky. Really satanic.
It was really creepy.
It showed an evil sort of side to things.
Exactly. Which is also questionable, knowing that he's got some connections to some secret societies.
Right.
But again, that's. Tim, that's why I asked you if you thought it was leaked on purpose, just because it was kind of convenient. But I mean, look, people do shoot themselves in the foot. So.
No, he's a schmendrick. Yeah. I have no doubt about it.
Yeah, so there you go. And
by the way, am I allowed to use the word schmendrick on the radio?
Of course you are. That's not a swear. It's a made-up word. So.
No, it's not made up. It's Yiddish.
What does it mean? You know what? Tell me off air, Bob. You know what? Nobody speaks Yiddish at the FCC anyway. Well, actually, I'm sure they.
Oh, they all speak Yiddish. The whole media speaks Yiddish. Are you kidding me? Oy vey.
You notice I took that back real quick?
Yep.
That's a convenient way of saying the Jews did it.
It's a conspiracy.
I'm just kidding. Now I'm going to get emails. You're anti-Semitic, Popeye. You know this video. We're going to get criticized by the same guy calling us anti-Semitic.
Yeah.
I can already see it. Whatever. Brian, we got a few minutes left. You were telling me that you recently got attacked by not Right Haven, but I don't remember the company name, but you said your Flickr account got attacked now because you had made a photo, like you created something, and then you uploaded it to your Flickr account, and somebody said that it was copyright. What happened?
Well, it's just my mom was saying stuff about how. It's just when we all look at Wall Street, the way there's people that win money and there's people that lose money. I started wanting to make this parody that Wall Street has literally become like a casino, and Ben Bernanke's sitting there printing all this funny money. So I thought I made a parody or satire about that called Welcome to Wall Street Casino. So I looked for any random casino photo, and I started putting all this stuff together on it, like Ben Bernanke with a top hat, and then I put some more stuff, and then I put like how people have lost the family home and other stuff, and how it's literally become like some kind of casino at Wall Street. And then what happened was Destination 360 sent a takedown notice to my Flickr account, and so Flickr started taking down the image, saying that it infringed copyrights, and I just don't see how I infringed, because
now,
for one, I never.
360 is the casino.
I found out they're not actually a casino. They take photos of casinos, but they're actually a travel.
Okay. So they were like the company that probably took the photo of the casino, and what they were saying is because you used you took their original photo and you just used it as a background and actually modified the whole thing. They're actually attacking you and saying that it's copyrighted material when that clearly falls under fair use.
Yeah, because for one, I never used any of their logos. I never added any kind of trademark to it. You clearly know that when you look at that photo, it does not say anything about Destination 360. It just shows a casino and how making fun of how Wall Street has become a casino.
Well, it's just very telling how the freedom of speech has been taken away. I mean, Flickr, people upload photos all the time. And, for you to have a photo that you created, you only used, I understand you used an image that they may have taken, but you used the image as a background and you modified it. That falls under fair use. And I find myself defending fair use every day with people, because I'll hear people say, well, it is copyrighted. Well, no, that's what the Fair Use Act is for. That's why it's there. It's so that somebody can, if I take a video clip and I take 15 different video clips and I'm from all different sources and I merge them together and edit them with some other stuff and I make a new video out of it, that's an original video. It's an original video, okay? But yet, and that falls under fair use, but yet they get taken down all the time. People file copyright complaints against them. And this all started back with the music industry. That's where this crap started, was the music industry. With Metallica and Lars Ulrich and all them little sissies whining about Napster.
They're headpieces for the New World Order.
Oh, of course. They needed to find an in. Look, they're like zombies. They're trying to come in the windows. They're trying to come in the doors. They're trying to come in any way they can, and eventually they'll find a little hole, little finger hold, and then they knock it out. And they get 2 fingers in there, and then they get 3 fingers in there, and then they get a hand in there, and then they get an arm in there. That's how they do it. They look for a way to get their foot in the friggin' door. And over the past 10 years, under copyright law now, they're trying to make people. They want to lock people up for embedding YouTube videos. I mean, embedding a YouTube video. Well, we want to make it a felony. Are you kidding me? Fine. If you attack YouTube, they're going to force people to make underground video sharing websites. And it's going to be – and then what are they going to do when the server is out in the Cayman Islands somewhere, offshore, out of America's reach? Now, how can you be breaking copyright law? That's not – they're not affected by copyright law. So that's why they go after the person for embedding it, because they know that other sites will pop up all over. So what do? They go after and they say, if you embed anything that might be copyrighted, you could go to jail for 5 years. Well, you just shut down the entire alternative press and the entire internet, basically.
The mothership's taken off.
Yep. It's
Here
time.
we go.
Look, you know what? It's pretty much time to stand up and fight this with everything we got. You know, standing up and waking people up and standing up for our rights, or we're going to be in a prison planet pretty soon. That's the end of the story. Guys, thanks for hanging out with me on my show today. It was awesome. I appreciate it. IntelHub.com, BobTuskin.com, USWPO.com, FederalJack.com.
Happily committed murder with a frown and an army of black hooded fiery skull generals and a sorcerer that can cast spells that change.